Hello and welcome to New Jersey Motorsports Park. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to race the StudioVRM Prelude in round 6 and 7 of the Fidelity Power Systems Pro-IT series during the Weekend of Thunder at NJMP. And what a weekend it was. We shared the paddock with Trans Am teams, and it was amazing to see the pro racers work these super fast purpose-built machines. And when I say fast, I mean fast. If you stand in the right place, you can actually hear the sculpted bodies slice through the air as they go by. Is that cool or what? What's even better, I got to battle it out with some seriously competitive drivers and a huge variety of cars from all over the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions of the US. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, the Fidelity Power Systems Pro-IT series is a top-tier series for racers in the SCCA improved touring classes, which normally aren't eligible for the SCCA Major Series. There's a big variety of cars, and all of the classes race together. Rear drive, front drive, classic sports sedans from the 80s, to cars that were racing in big-name touring car series just a few years ago. The races themselves are similar in length to professional touring car series, and you get to run with some of the fastest and friendliest club racers around. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's even more fun to race it. So without further ado, here's some of the highlights from my weekend. After spending the qualifying session relearning the Thunderbolt track, I started 8th, directly behind the ITS Class 325i of Ed Karabek, and next the Digital Ocean MX-5 of Lev Goretzky. Ed Wera in the blue Maximum Attack Civic almost runs me over, as Mike Tinnis in the silver GTI takes advantage of the gaping hole in the field and gets up front, despite being an ITV car with less than 120 horsepower. Right from the start, we have a huge dogfight on our hands. We spend the first part of the race constantly swapping positions. In a mixed class race like this, you can't let your guard down. A moment of hesitation and Brandon Fetch pounces in his Miata. Ed is the closest competition I have in my class. I stick it up the inside through turn 2 and make a beeline for the leaders. Up ahead, Lev's number 44 Digital Ocean MX-5 is battling it out with Ken Hubbard in the number 26 Auto Technic BMW. Their quarrel slows them down enough for me to close up. But Lev doesn't make it easy to get by. I lose focus for a quick moment and Brandon and Mike get through. Fortunately for me, Pro-IT races are long. I let the two experienced racers have their turn at attacking the MX-5 while I conserve brakes and tires for later. A few laps later, Mike overtakes Brandon going into turn 6. I decide that it's best to follow Mike, even if Mike decides that it's best to use more track than there is available. Alright, back in front of the pack. Let's see if I can get the MX-5 now. Even though I have a clear advantage in the twisty back section, I just can't get enough leverage to pull off a clean pass on the Mazda. Just to make things even more interesting, we catch up to Ken Hubbard's black BMW before I can make the move on Lev. Ken is clearly having some sort of handling problem. His 325i just doesn't want to turn, and he kicks up dirt at the exit of every corner. Even with an ill-handling car, these guys can still walk away from me down any of the track's long straights. I'll have to be patient in order to find the right moment to pass. And patience pays off. Lev overspeeds into turn 7, and I stick my nose in going into the Octopus. While we were busy fighting, Greg Amy had taken the overall lead and scythed through the field. Before I knew it, he had lapped us. I don't mind too much though. This gave me the advantage I needed to close up on Ken Hubbard's rear bumper. Ken's powerful BMW is making my life difficult. Before I know it, Lev gets a good run into turn 1 and takes the place back. As does Mike, who's been pushing like crazy to catch up to us. "37 minutes into the 45-minute race. The situation is getting tense. I spend a moment setting up my strategy on how to get past these guys when the in-car camera stops. Someone forgot to charge it before he got in the car. Sorry. Anyway, here's the finishing order for round 6. First overall, Greg Amy in the number 3 Maximum Attack Civic, followed by Fred Fox in his BMW 325 IS. Ben Phillips took 3rd in that beautiful Porsche 968. Followed by, yeah, me, in the StudioVRM Prelude Si in 4th overall. In the end, Ken Hubbard couldn't quite hold me off with the handling problems in his 325i, but Mike Tinnis put in a supreme performance. He got within seconds of 5th place in his ITB spec GTI. Now I really wish I had that footage, but that's okay. Day 2 would be even better. Day 2, we showed up at the grid to find that the whole track was completely soaked. All of us spent the first few laps tiptoeing around the slick track. Felt like one wrong move and the car would go flying into the barriers. We all kept putting in tentative lap after tentative lap in the hopes that the track surface would eventually dry. 9 laps in, the rear drive competition pulled off just as the dry line started to form. I stayed out and gradually started pushing harder. Even through a few brake lockups and slides, managed one relatively clean lap right at the end of the session. The reward for persistence? A completely unexpected 3rd place in the grid behind the pair of super fast Maximum Attack Civics. As happy as I was starting 3rd, the track had dried completely before a race had started. I knew I was in trouble from the get-go. As we rounded turn 13, I could feel my high-powered German opposition breathing down my neck. Green flag! Even with a well-timed start, Ken Hubbard and Ben Phillips powered past me like I was standing still. As did Fred Fox in the number 56 Auto Technic car. What I didn't expect was that Michael Reese had made his way up from the back of the grid, and he was on the offensive in that battle-scarred S2000. While Greg had to pull off due to a broken drive shaft, I got a tow of Michael's S2000 when he money shifted it into turn 1. I seriously thought he had blown his motor, but it turns out that he could still put up a fight. Backing out in turn 3 was a big mistake. The loss of momentum cost me 3 positions as Brandon, Mike, and now Ken Williams in the blue and green MB Motorsports Miata streamed by. The S2000 was all over the road. I took a back seat and watched an exciting 4-way fight unfold in front of me. Brandon and Ken were still fighting for the championship in the Spec Miata class, so I didn't want to get in their way. I had to find the right time to overtake them together. That opportunity came about 12 minutes in. I got a nice 2-in-1 pass over both Miatas. Now to deal with the S2000. Turns out it was easier than I thought. Bizarrely, Michael's S2000 seemed to have no top-end power in the higher gears. I later found out that he was racing without a 5th gear. That must have been pretty difficult. That S2000 is a very peaky motor. Although the GTI has almost no power to speak of, Mike Tinnis is fast. He's actually the current lap record holder in the ITV class on Thunderbolt. It took a long time to catch up to him. So when I finally did, I thought I'd follow him. I wanted to see firsthand just how he was punching out such fast lap times in what's supposed to be a slow car. He knew exactly what I was up to. And being the nice guy that he is, he put in some flying laps to show me exactly how I should be driving this track. After 2 laps of schooling, I thanked Mike and got by as quickly as I could. The third quarter of every race is a mental challenge. Aside from a few lap cars, I couldn't tell who was ahead. And worse yet, I started getting some serious vibrations in the steering wheel due to rubber pickup on the tires. I kept putting in the laps, hoping that I could get close enough for something interesting to happen. "35 minutes in, something interesting did happen, just not the something interesting I wanted. I set a timer at the beginning of the race to track the race time, but I didn't put enough minutes on the clock. So for the next few laps, I had a cell phone alarm blaring in my face. And to add insult to injury, I could not touch the screen to turn it off because I had gloves on both hands. That was annoying. Finally, the alarm shut off, and I could see a car ahead. I motored past the number 31 Lunatic Racing Miata and kept going in the hopes that the lead pack might have eased up enough for me to catch up. But it wasn't to be. Last lap, with the lead pack nowhere in sight and with no idea of my actual finishing position, I took the last checkered flag of the weekend. So the results for round 7. It turns out Fred Fox won overall, with Ken Hubbard taking second in the number 26 BMW. Half a lap behind him was, to my surprise, me, StudioVRM.Net Honda Prelude Si. Mike Tinnis put in another giant killing performance and he took 4th overall, while Ken Williams won the Battle of the Miatas to round out the top 5. And with that, the curtain closed on one of the best race weekends I've had in a long time. It felt good finishing in the top 4 overall and first in ITS class on both days. But more importantly, the weekend reminded me just how much fun it is to race in a big mixed class field, especially when you're racing with fast guys and well-prepared cars. I also learned that the Pro-IT racers are a great group of people. They are fiercely competitive and give no quarter on the track. At the same time, they're incredibly friendly and such a helpful group of knowledgeable guys who are so much fun to hang out with. I'd like to thank the organizers of the Fidelity Power Systems Pro-IT series for putting on an awesome event, as well as title sponsor Fidelity Power Systems for making it all possible. Quick shout out and thank you to Martyn Harding, who was kind enough to take and share all the photos you see in this video. And finally, I'd like to thank the drivers and teams that brought their A-game that weekend. That was some great racing. And for all of you out there, what are you waiting for? Dust off that race car and come race with us. It is a blast. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the track.